that saying with give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to fish. Well, you know which one. Do you know it? Well, good for you. Because I don't seem to know it. Exactly how it goes. But what I'm getting at is what that saying says rings true to what I'm about to tell you about. There are plenty of tutorials out there on how to play some song or another, and I think they're brilliant. But there's something even more brilliant than learning how to play a song from a tutorial, and that is learning how to play it by ear, or learning it by ear, and then getting to play it on your own without the help of a tutorial. And that's actually possible, especially with the very simple songs. Now, of course, there's plenty of songs that are not very, but that are complicated and that require more listening and a bit of technical knowledge, I suppose. But there are also many songs that are fun enough and interesting enough to motivate you to sit at your piano and learn them. And by the way, what I'm doing right now is just this sound might actually sound familiar, and it's that kind of sound that is used to suggest a dream state. And it's nothing but notes that are 2 steps away. So you can take any note and count 2 steps above it. And so the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And you get this kind of sound. Now, back to what I was saying. You can learn a song by just listening to it. First thing you have to find out about it is the key that the song is in. And there are 12 keys, well, that's what I say at least, in which a song can be written. That's mainly because there are only 12 tones in our music system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that is mainly the reason why a song can only be written in one of these 12 keys. Now, of course, a song can also move from one key to another. So, strictly speaking, a song can also be written in more than one key. But at any particular time during that song, the sounds are going to be in a very specific key, one of these 12. So figuring out what key the song is in does require you to know the keys, first of all. The good news is that they're not that difficult to learn. And I have here a little book, an illustrated book that can help you learn these quite quickly, I would say, compared to other methods, because illustrations obviously show you things instead of telling you things. And I believe, especially when it comes to the piano keyboard, seeing things resonate more with you than hearing about them. Now, I have here a bunch of songs that I brought up, and they're not known by any measure, I won't say. But I'm hoping that they won't bring any copyright issues on YouTube, so that's why I chose these particular songs. And I'm also happy with them because they're quite simple to follow, not very complex, not a lot of twisty turns, not a lot of fast notes. So kind of like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play them and try and guess the key that they're in, and also explain the thought process. So I'm hoping that might get you started, that might motivate you to begin learning these 12 keys. So here we go. So what I've done there for just a few seconds was play the chromatic scale. So that's one of the things that you could start with when you're trying to figure out the key of a song, is play the chromatic scale. It's not going to happen instantly, at least not all the time, but playing the chromatic scale will help you figure out which sounds sound good enough, go well enough with the song that's presently playing. So in this case, this note sounded like it might be part of the key that this song is written in. Let's go ahead and play a bit more. Now we have two. Let me just take this down a bit. We have two sounds here. 3. So we have 3 notes. We need 4 more notes, because any key is formed of 7 notes. We have 3 and we need more. We need 4 more. Say we have 5, 6, 7 notes. Now I know now that this song is written in the key of D major. And I knew almost instantly, just because I'm already familiar with how this key looks like, how the notes of this key look like on the keyboard. Now, what I wanted to show you in particular was how you can use these 7 tones here to guess the key, to begin the guess, to guess the key of a song pretty accurately, right from the first few seconds of the song. And I would say that's pretty easy because very specific shapes will tell you exactly which key you're looking at. In this case, the keys that use these 4 tones are only 2 keys, and that one is the one that we're playing it in right now, the key of D major, and the other one is the key of G major. The only difference between the two is this note here. So G major doesn't have this note, while D major, the key of D major, does have it. So if I were to only play around in this area, while this song was playing, I could have narrowed my search from 12 keys to 2 keys, just by hearing that these 4 tones sounded good enough with that song. And this is the case with all the other keys. So a particular position in this section will narrow down your search from 12 to 2, at least most of the time. So that's one thing. Obviously, once again, you would have to know the keys to be able to recognize them, because it's easier to recognize things than to actually learn them from scratch. And one way to learn this is by looking at them, at least at the pattern created by the notes on the keyboard. Now, let's see. Another cool thing about these 12 keys of Western music, I should add, is that throughout the keyboard, all over the keyboard, the same pattern repeats over and over 8 times or so, depending on how big your keyboard is. In this case, and you can look at it from different perspectives. What I'm trying to say is that you can start from any of these notes, and that particular pattern would repeat exactly every octave. Talking about D, we can start from D. Let's start from a non-colored key. We can start from D, 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this pattern: 2 white, 1 black, 3 white, 1 black, 2 white, 1, 3, 1. Will repeat over and over. And again, this is the case with every single one of the other 11 keys. Pattern which are repeating over and over. 2 black, 2 white, 2 black, 1 white, 2 black, 2 white, 2 black, 1 white, and so on. Now going back to our song. Now that we know the key that the song is in, we can actually go ahead and have a little fun. I guess you could call it, just by messing around on the keyboard using these exact 7 notes that we found. Oh, let's try again. It sounds like the song was just finishing. Still the same one? Yes. Of course, what are we playing with right now is not the actual song. Nothing in the song resembles what we were playing right now. Nor the melody, nor the harmony, but the way the notes sound when we play along with the song indicates that we're in the right key. So from knowing the key of the song to learning the actual song, it's a very short journey, and generally speaking, the only hurdle that we have to overcome right now is finding out the chord progression. That is, which degree of this scale, the D major scale, where does the song go on this scale, to which degrees, at which times. I guess that's one way to describe a chord progression. Now you might already know that a chord is formed of 3 different notes, at least 3 different notes. Well, that didn't sound right. This could actually be the chord progression that we were looking for, but we don't know for sure, at least right now. So once again, from knowing the key of the song to knowing exactly how the song goes, it's a very short journey, and all we have to figure out is the chord progression. And you might be wise to begin with the actual melody. Sometimes the melody will tell you which chords you must be looking at. Let's try and see how that goes. So that was a bit of the melody, I guess. But we won't go into that just yet. Instead, we're just going to play around in our little scale, our D major scale, for a bit. Because I want to show you the diatonic chords. That is, the chords that only use these 7 notes of this particular key. There is a way to play this key with your left hand and your right hand so that it makes it very easy for you to follow through with all the notes. And it differs a little bit for each hand, although the notes are exactly the same. For any of the hands. But because your hands are symmetrical, but on the piano you go up and down and not like this, so you go at the same time with both hands, if anything. It's probably a better way to explain that, but you go from left to right so that your fingers kind of overlap. So that's why you could say that you play it differently. Now, for the left hand, you have this pattern that goes like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this refers to your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's a clever pattern because I don't know if you've seen a previous video, but in this section, these 3 fingers, kind of the main ones, along with this, of course, and then in this section, these 2 fingers, the big ones, along with this, of course. What did I do just there? Sounded familiar. Anyway. Now if you want to start from D and finish on D, you kind of follow the same thing. This is also a very good thing to do in the beginning, because then you can understand where each of your fingers will go. When you play the scale, and that is a very constant thing to have, because you know that this finger will always go here and here. It can be a little bit helpful. For the right hand, we have these positions, we can go ahead and look at the diatonic chords that I mentioned just now. And there's an easy way to create chords, diatonic chords. And you begin with these hand positions that I showed you just now. So with your hands in the position, you basically skip a note. Skip a finger if you want. With either your left hand or your right hand. Trying to keep your hands in the position for as long as you can. When you're in this section, you can actually play not the half of a chord, but part of a chord by holding your hand for four positions, in 4 positions. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So notice how this whole time my hand is pretty much in the same position. It doesn't really move. It's just the fingers that interchange. And it's all done with very little effort. It takes a bit of focus to get your fingers to do this. But effort-wise, this is a very little effort. So right now we actually have part of 4 diatonic chords. All we have to do to complete these chords is play the 3rd note of each of these chords with the left hand, and all we do is just follow that same scale pattern. So we have our left hand in position here, ready to follow through with the scale. We can either use finger 1 or finger 4. And the right hand in position. And all we have to do right now is just go 1 step at a time. So we have 4 chords here. Oh, my bad. Very little effort, a lot of focus, of course, but very little effort in terms of hand movement. Both hands remain pretty much in the same position, less so the left hand, because it's in this section. But as a whole, the effort was very small. In the beginning, it can take quite a bit of focus to get this right. But you might have noticed how nice everything sounds. And the price that you pay, the effort that you have to put in for this kind of sound is very little. The same thing can happen if you switch hands, meaning that you play 2 notes with the left hand and 1 with the right hand. I've confused myself for a bit there. This is not easy, but I would say it is the easiest when it comes to building these diatonic chords. So we have 4 chords, we only need 3 more. Let's see if we can get this right. position. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 1. And here. Couldn't have heard, see? Kind of this would be the movement for the left hand. And this would be the movement for the right hand. Very little movement. So these are the 7 diatonic chords of the D major scale. We won't go and name all of these chords just yet because names are difficult. What's important right now is the way they look on the keyboard. One thing to note, of course, is that you can actually play, well, in some positions, you can actually play all 3 notes of these chords with just one hand. There we go, another familiar song. Again, the hand hasn't really moved from this position. Just some fingers has switched the notes that they were playing. Particularly this. Anyway, so these are the 7 diatonic chords of the D major scale. Let's just stop at this particular point where we know the key of a song, we know how to find it out. Of course, after we have already familiarized ourselves with the actual keys, and we kind of understand how we will get to play the actual song by figuring out from the melody where the actual song goes, which chords, which degrees of the scale that the song is in it goes to, and then from there to actually be able to play the song well enough. It's a different journey, one that requires you to actually sit down at the keyboard and keep practicing and keep perfecting that song over and over. And that's a journey you have to take on your own. And it's a difficult one sometimes, because finding the motivation to sit at the keyboard, it can be very difficult sometimes. And other times you might not even have the time to do so. But the fishing that I wanted to teach you was how to figure out the key of a song. And I guess we'll just go ahead and play a couple of more songs and see the process of guessing their particular keys. one thing that I should mention is that even if you're not able to play a song in its entirety, I would say simply being able to mess around in the key of that song will provide you with enough motivation to go back to the keyboard again and again and try and learn more things from the songs that you're hearing. Because one way to learn how to play this thing, and as a matter of fact, any other instrument, or even be able to, or even learn how to sing, is, so one way would be to copy what you hear. So that's not easy, but being able to figure out the key that the song is in will get you started, and will motivate you to actually sit at your keyboard and play around with these things, because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of theory behind all this, and a lot of names as well. Each of these notes at least have its own name. In different circumstances, the names change. So there's a lot of stuff behind all this that you must familiarize yourself with. But the good news is, at least that's what I believe, that as soon as you know all these keys, 12 keys, and they're not that many, they're not difficult at all, because they're also very similar to each other as you move through them one by one at a time. So as soon as you get that, you will be provided with a lot of motivation to sit down at your keyboard and play around with these songs. Here's another one. Let's see what's happening in this. Oh, this one already sounds good. So right now we have D, which sounds like the home. but nice. So now we have this. This might be the same key with the first song that we played in. This one is a bit more difficult to guess because there's a lot of beats instead of long notes. But I would say that it's pretty much the key of D major. And it goes on forever. Let's try another one. This one sounds okay-ish. So we have these two. Another cool thing about guessing a key is that the moment when you look at the black keys, for example, the moment you know which of the black keys, like on which side the black keys are in either of these sections, you know automatically at least one of the other black keys, because if, say, you have this black key that sounds okay with the song that you're playing along to, in this section there's going to be at least one black key, the one that's most to the right. So if this one's on the right, you're going to have at least one black key in this section, and it's the one on the right. So the moment you've guessed this key in combination with this, you know automatically that there's going to be this, and possibly this and this, but at least this. The same applies for when you have the keys on the left, the black key on the left. There's going to be at least one on the right when you're looking at this small group. When you're looking at this small group, if you have one on the left, you might have the black key on the left in this section as well, or not. And if you don't have it, then this is the only black key that you're playing with in that particular key. In our case, we also have this note. Looks like we have both of these and both of these. And this is key that we're playing with, the key of A flat major. This song is a little bit trippy. I would say more difficult than the first one. Incidentally, this one already sounds good. And this. And this. And this. So G, the key of G flat major only has one sharp in it, one black key. Another song with a lot of beats in it, very difficult to guess straight away. It took me a bit to get here. Now I know it's this key, the key of E flat major.
Don't let download limits hold you back. Upbeat Premium gives you unlimited access to the world's hottest beat makers and indie artists. Go Premium and get unlimited downloads for just $6.99 a month.
So that was the catch. So that was my almost hour-long tutorial on how to figure out the key of a song. Now, I know it doesn't give you everything, and this book will really help you if you want to get it. You're gonna have it forever as well. Go to this address and order it from there. And also for keys for songs in specific keys, I'll add a link to the website where I'm embedding Spotify playlists where I dump, well, I don't dump, but I add a lot of songs that in every single one of these 12 keys. And if you're on Spotify already, you might find that helpful. Going to a specific playlist and knowing that the songs in that playlist are in a particular key will also help you if you want to go straight ahead and begin playing along with particular songs. You can also learn the keys on your own and then try and guess the songs, but it's a good beginning if you want to just familiarize yourself with how the keys look like on the keyboard before you go ahead and play them. Let me try and do this one more.